Imagine your own government secretly turning ordinary people into lab rats, wiping their memories and shattering their minds. Sounds like a thriller plot, right? But this was the grim reality of MK Ultra, the CIA program launched right in the middle of the Cold War. They were chasing the ultimate weapon, total mind control, breaking enemies without firing a single shot. Now think about this. In 1953, with the world gripped by fear of communism, CIA Director Allen Dulles gave the green light to this nightmare. They were convinced the Soviets were already brainwashing American POWs, and the US refused to fall behind. Hundreds of experiments, millions of dollars, all kept completely under wraps. But here's the kicker. The victims weren't just spies. Everyday civilians, soldiers, even hospital patients got caught in the crossfire. They had no idea they were being dosed with LSD or tortured psychologically. This isn't fiction, it's a fact buried for decades.
Let's go back to how it all started. After the Korean War, American prisoners came home seeming brainwashed. At least that's what the CIA believed. In 1950, they kicked off a precursor called Project Bluebird, testing hypnosis and truth serums. But that was just the warm-up. By 1953, Sidney Gottlieb, this chemist nicknamed the Poisoner-in-Chief, took over the whole operation. He was obsessed with erasing personalities like they were chalk on a blackboard and reprogramming minds from scratch. They even recruited former Nazi scientists, the same ones who'd experimented in concentration camps, to speed things up. Picture this. Secret prisons in West Germany and Japan where captured enemies were tortured with zero oversight. Back home, labs popped up in universities and hospitals. Over 80 institutions got involved, and nobody said a word. Why? Everything was stamped top secret.
Now for the really horrifying part. The methods. They spared nothing. Massive doses of LSD without consent, designed to trigger hallucinations and full-blown paranoia. In 1955, they were slipping the drug into drinks at parties, watching unsuspecting people lose their grip on reality. Electroshock therapy, sensory deprivation, locking people in pitch-black rooms for weeks to break their will. Hypnosis, looped audio messages, even sexual abuse. In Canada, Dr. Ewan Cameron in Montreal ran psychic driving sessions, supposedly treating depression, but actually wiping patients' memories clean. And get this, they tested on federal prisoners in Atlanta, pumping them full of LSD for weeks with promises of reduced sentences. One inmate, gangster Whitey Bulger, later wrote about it. The room would change shape, hours of paranoia and feeling violent. We experienced horrible periods of living nightmares and even blood coming out of the walls. Guys turning to skeletons in front of me. I felt like I was going insane. Horrible, isn't it?
Let's talk about the real victims, people whose lives were destroyed. Take Frank Olson, an Army scientist. In November 1953, at a CIA retreat, they spiked his cocktail with LSD. A week later, he plunged from a hotel window in New York. Officially ruled suicide, but his family insists he was silenced to keep the program hidden. Or Ken Kesey, the future author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. In 1960, he joined tests voluntarily at Stanford, but most others had no choice. Hospital patients, soldiers, even mental health patients became guinea pigs. In 1957, the CIA handed Cameron $60,000 for his work in Canada. Victims like Velma Orlikow came out with total amnesia, unable to recognize their own children. Decades of suffering, lawsuits, all fueled by the thirst for control.
The documents are where the real dirt lies. In 1973, when the program finally shut down, the CIA ordered every file destroyed. But in 1977, someone stumbled across 20,000 pages in a forgotten financial archive. Pure luck because they'd been overlooked during the burn order. There it all was. Test reports, budgets, names. One memo from 1956 shows Gottlieb greenlighting huge LSD doses on prisoners.
Another from 1950 outlines teams for drug and hypnosis interrogations. These aren't made-up stories. They're straight from CIA archives. And now imagine this. They ran operations in San Francisco brothels under the code name Midnight Climax. Prostitutes lured in clients, dosed them with LSD, and agents watched through two-way mirrors. Wild, but completely documented. How did they keep it hidden for so long? Simple. Slap national security on everything. Participants signed lifelong secrecy oaths. Files were incinerated by the batch. When CIA Director Richard Helms left in 1973, he personally ordered the final wipeout of MKUltra traces. But cracks appeared. In 1975, Frank Olson's family got $750,000 from President Ford after the truth leaked. The CIA had lied to Congress, claiming tests were voluntary, but the papers proved otherwise. In 1975, amid the Watergate fallout, the Church Committee investigated the CIA and stumbled onto MKUltra. Senators were stunned. Experiments hit every social level, from the highest to the lowest. The truth only surfaced by accident, thanks to dogged journalists and lawmakers. In 1974, New York Times reporter Seymour Hersh exposed CIA domestic spying, and the dominoes started falling. By 1975, Senate hearings laid bare the details: Olson's death, tests on unwitting Americans. Then, in 1977, those overlooked documents exploded. Victims filed lawsuits. Families demanded answers. The CIA admitted to at least one death, Olson's, but how many more? The program ran for 20 years with hundreds of victims. Why did it break then? After Vietnam and Watergate, faith in government was at rock bottom. Secrets couldn't stay buried anymore. In the end, MKUltra left scars across generations. Shattered lives, lasting paranoia, endless court battles. In the 1990s, Cameron's victims won settlements from both Canada and the US, but the CIA never really apologized. Today, it's a stark warning: how far power will go in the hunt for control. This program inspired movies like The Manchurian Candidate, but the real thing was far worse. Don't assume it could never happen again. Secrets are always lurking somewhere. So if you ever feel like the government knows too much about you, maybe it's not just paranoia. Stick around. We've got plenty more dark corners of history to explore.